Okay, and then yes, it has changed, albeit not with violence. I can't take in violence, but I actually do like, I feel like horror has sort of gone back to being what it was like when my dad was making it, much more about the story and the character and the suspense. And but it was really coming to these conventions or doing a film festival and having to watch my dad's movies. I'm like, oh God. And then I realized I really loved them. But the reason, so I didn't like scary things. But it happened because I was maybe about 4 or 5, again, same age, I think maybe about 4. And, my parents explained to me that Dad was an actor, but, it's sort of abstract when you're 4, like, what is an actor? And they would say, like, the people on the TV, and I'm like, but he's not on the TV, he's here. I mean, it's very baffling. So they took me to see him in a play, which was Peter Pan, a nice children's play, right, in a Los Angeles production. Now, I should tell you that my mother was a costume designer, and my mother was British. She had a stiff, pretty much upper everything. She was like, no public displays of anything, So I'm sitting next to her, and my dad comes out, and he's Captain Hook, right? And he has a hook, and he's a bad man, and he's doing scary things to the nice boys, and Wendy and Peter, and I am like freaked out. I'm like, Mom, why does Dad have a hook? What happened to his hand? And and the whole audience can hear this child. Why is he so mean? He's not supposed to be mean. I mean, I was like going on and on and on. So my mother had to take me backstage during intermission, which you never do, right? So, but I like to tell this story because clearly my mother wasn't really worried about my future trauma and hours spent in therapy, because while my father was comforting me, she took a series, literally blow-by-blow photographs. I have the entire sequence of my dad comforting me, which my mother took in black and white. So there's my mother for you. But it's so hilarious because I start out and I'm, like completely freaked out, and then he's showing me the hook and he's taking it on and off, and then he's sitting me on his lap, and then he's feeding me popcorn, and eventually I'm fine and I can go see the rest of the play. But my mother and my dad looked at each other, they're like, we're never doing that again. So, thus not only was I scared of things, we probably could have gotten over it by the time I was like 8 or 9, but they're like, we're not putting ourselves through that. So I would watch him spoof himself, because he did a lot of TV where he spoofed being the bad guy, and all my friends told me he was the bad guy, but I never saw that. But then I started coming to the conventions, and I realized how much humor there was, and now there's, certain ones, like lately, I don't know why. I don't know if it's the state of the world, but I'm just in this like Dr. Phibes mood all the time. I don't know why. Maybe I wish I could, take out my revenge with send a few people up in a plane with rats.